Your monthly receipt can hit you 12 times before any one charge feels big enough to notice. The delivery fee, the streaming renewal, the phone installment, the storage charge, the app upgrade, the minimum payment. Each one looked harmless when you clicked it. Two people can earn the same paycheck and end the month in completely different places because one of them is still paying for things that stopped doing their job. So before item 1, use the filter. What stays? What gets cut? In 2026, waste usually hides in 4 places. It repeats every month, it gets financed into a smaller looking payment, it stacks fees after checkout, or it keeps charging after you stopped using it. Recurring, financed, fee stacked, unused. If a purchase falls into one of those buckets, it has to earn the next charge again. Not because life needs to get harsher, because these are the quiet spots where a normal household leaks money, while everything still looks responsible. This is not a shame list. Delivery can make sense. A car can be necessary. A subscription can be cheaper than owning the thing. A storage unit can help during a move. The test is simple. Is it still doing enough work to deserve the next bill? Start with the easiest leak to miss. The subscription you do not hate enough to cancel. 1. Forgotten subscriptions and paid trials. What people buy is ordinary: streaming, apps, newsletters, delivery memberships, fitness platforms, cloud storage, software trials, kids games, shopping clubs, and premium features that started as one useful month. Why it feels reasonable. Each charge is small. $10 does not feel like a financial decision. A free trial feels like a maybe. A membership feels like it might pay for itself later. And cancellation is easy to postpone because the service is not ruining your life. It is just nibbling. Where the money leaks, doing nothing counts as yes. The old plan renews. The annual charge lands. The app stays on the card. The household stops noticing because the amount sits below the pain line. That is why this category keeps showing up in consumer complaints. The Federal Trade Commission's 2025 Uber One complaint alleged a $9.99 monthly subscription, a $96 annual option, automatic renewal, and complaints around unwanted enrollment or hard cancellation. Those are allegations in a complaint, not a final verdict. The useful part is the pattern. Small recurring charges survive on inattention. What to do instead? Run a 30-minute renewal audit. Sort your card statement by recurring merchants. Cancel anything you would not deliberately buy again today. For annual plans, put the renewal date on your calendar 2 weeks early. If a subscription saves time, gets used every week, or replaces a more expensive habit, keep it. If it only survives because canceling is annoying, it is not a service anymore. It is rent on a forgotten decision. 2. Delivery app orders that became the default meal plan. What people buy is dinner without leaving the couch. Restaurant food, delivery, service fees, small order fees, priority options, tips, and sometimes a membership that promises to make the next order feel cheaper. Why it feels reasonable. You are tired. Groceries are not magically cheap. Cooking takes planning. Pickup takes time. Delivery can be the right call when you are sick, caregiving, working late, disabled, without safe transportation, or buying back a genuinely scarce hour. Where the money leaks. The app turns one meal into a stack. The restaurant price may already be higher than groceries. Then the platform adds delivery economics, fees, tip pressure, and sometimes a membership that only pays off if you keep ordering. The price backdrop matters here. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported food away from home up 3.6% over the 12 months ending April 2026, with full service meals up 3.8% and limited service meals up 3.2%. Delivery platforms also disclose fees, memberships, advertising, and marketplace gross bookings as core business economics. Delivery is not evil. The receipt just has more layers than the menu picture. What to do instead? Choose a delivery rule before you are hungry. Delivery is for sick days, late work nights, shared orders, or meals where pickup is impossible. Everything else becomes pickup, leftovers, or a default freezer meal. If the membership makes you order more to justify it, cancel it. Savings that require extra spending are not savings. 3. Restaurant meals that quietly replaced groceries. What people buy is not only a special dinner. It is coffee because the morning system failed, lunch because nothing was packed, takeout because groceries became ingredients instead of meals, and the weekend restaurant habit that no longer feels like a choice. Why it feels reasonable. Food is emotional and practical at the same time. Nobody wants every meal to become a spreadsheet. Eating out can be social, joyful, convenient, and worth it. The waste starts when restaurant food becomes the automatic patch for a household system that keeps breaking. Where the money leaks, you pay twice. First for groceries that spoil, then for restaurant meals that solve the same hunger. The restaurant charge is visible. The wasted groceries disappear quietly in the back of the fridge. The same price backdrop makes the default more expensive. Restaurant prices remained a higher inflation category into 2026, with food away from home still rising faster than many households would like. That does not mean never eat out. It means the default matters more, when each default meal carries a bigger receipt. What to do instead? Keep restaurants for meals that are actually worth leaving home for. For the rest, build a 2-meal fallback. One meal you can make in 10 minutes. One freezer or pantry meal you can handle when you are done thinking. If groceries keep dying, buy fewer ingredients and more usable meals. The win is not cooking every night. The win is stopping the grocery bill and the restaurant bill from solving the same problem in the same week. 4. New cars bought by monthly payment. What people buy is transportation. But the sales conversation often turns into a payment. Can we get this near $700 a month? Can we stretch the term? Can we make the trade-in work? Can we roll the old balance and keep the new number comfortable enough? Why it feels reasonable. In many parts of the country, a reliable car is not optional. Repairs are stressful. Used cars can be expensive. A newer vehicle can mean safety, warranty coverage, and fewer surprise breakdowns. The waste is not owning a car. The waste is shopping for a payment, while the total obligation quietly gets heavier. Where the money leaks. The monthly number hides the loan amount, term length, insurance, registration, maintenance, interest, depreciation, and the risk that the car is worth less than the debt if life changes. The numbers explain why this has become such a pressure point. New York Fed data for the first quarter of 2026 put auto loan balances at $1.685 trillion. Experience fourth quarter 2025 automotive report put average new vehicle payments at $767 and used vehicle payments at $537. Those averages do not describe every buyer, but they show the trap. A payment can look manageable while the whole car gets too heavy. What to do instead? Decide the total car cost before the test drive. Price the loan, insurance, taxes, fuel, maintenance, and likely repair reserve together. If the only way the car fits is a longer term, a rolled balance, or no repair cushion, the payment is too pretty. A reliable boring car that leaves room in the month beats a nicer car that makes every other bill tense. 5. Long auto loans and negative equity rollovers. What people buy is a way out of the old car problem. The old payment feels heavy, the old repair is annoying, the trade-in offer looks like relief, and the dealer can make the next vehicle happen without the buyer writing a huge check today. Why it feels reasonable. People need transportation now. A broken car can threaten work. A family schedule can collapse without wheels. Rolling an old balance into a new loan may look like the only path that keeps life moving. Where the money leaks. Yesterday's car follows you into tomorrow's payment. The old debt does not disappear. It gets folded into a new obligation, often with a longer term, so the household is buying the next car and paying for the last one at the same time. This is where the broader auto pressure evidence matters. The same New York Fed and Experian data show a market where balances and monthly payments are already high. That makes rollovers more dangerous because there is less room for error. What to do instead? Treat a rollover as a financial warning light, not a normal upgrade step. Before signing, ask three questions. How much old debt is entering the new loan? How many months will you owe on the new vehicle? What happens if you have to sell or replace it early? If the answer is uncomfortable, the better move may be repair, a cheaper replacement, more cash down, or waiting. The rule is simple. Do not let the old car keep sending invoices after it leaves your driveway. 6. Buy now, pay later for everyday purchases. What people buy is the same card split into smaller pieces: clothes, shoes, electronics, cosmetics, furniture, travel, groceries, gifts, and sometimes ordinary needs that used to be paid for once. Why it feels reasonable? The plan may be interest-free if paid on time. The payment looks manageable. The checkout feels less painful. Splitting a purchase can help a household bridge timing when cash is arriving soon. Where the money leaks. One plan is easy to remember. 5 plans across different merchants turn the calendar into a minefield. At that point, the buyer is no longer asking whether the item is affordable. They are asking whether the first slice feels painless enough to start. The warning sign is not imaginary. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau research found buy now, pay later borrowers are, on average, more likely than non-borrowers to be highly indebted, revolve credit card balances, have delinquencies, and use high-interest services such as payday, pawn, and overdraft. That is an association, not proof that buy now, pay later causes every problem, but it is a strong signal that stacked small payments often sit near household stress. What to do instead? Use the one plan test. If you already have one pay later plan open, do not open another for a non-essential item. If you need pay later for groceries, gas, or basics, treat that as a cash flow signal and pause optional spending until the old payments clear. The clean version is this: split payments only for planned, necessary purchases with cash already scheduled. Never use a smaller first payment to talk yourself into a bigger cart. 7. Credit card minimum payments that became the plan. What people buy is time. The minimum payment says keep the account current, protect the next month, and deal with the real balance later. Why it feels reasonable? Sometimes paying the minimum is survival. If the alternative is missing rent, food, medicine, or a required bill, the minimum can be the least bad move. The waste starts when the minimum stops being an emergency bridge and becomes the household's regular debt strategy. Where the money leaks, interest keeps working after the purchase is forgotten. The couch, trip, repair, groceries, or emergency expense may be gone from daily life, but the balance keeps renting space on the statement. That is expensive in the current credit environment. New York Fed data for the first quarter of 2026 reported credit card balances at $1.252 trillion, with serious delinquency flow at 7.10% for credit cards. Federal Reserve G19 data for March 2026 reported revolving consumer credit at $1.337 trillion and commercial bank credit card interest rates around 21% for all accounts. Minimum-only habits get costly fast when rates look like that. What to do instead? Make the minimum automatic, only as a safety floor. Then choose a separate payoff amount for the highest cost balance you are actively attacking. Do not add new optional purchases to a card that is carrying old optional purchases. If the balance came from hardship, focus on stabilizing cash flow first. If it came from convenience, cut the convenience until the old charges stop billing you from the past. 8. Phone upgrades before the old phone has stopped doing its job. What people buy is a better camera, more storage, a faster screen, a new battery filling, and the small thrill of having the current model. Often the phone itself is financed through the monthly wireless bill, so the upgrade feels less like a purchase and more like the normal cost of staying connected. Why it feels reasonable? Phones matter. They hold banking, work messages, family photos, maps, school apps, authentication codes, and sometimes a whole small business. A failing phone can cost real time. Where the money leaks. Device financing makes a large purchase look like another line on the bill. Promotional bill credits can make the phone feel free, while the customer stays tied to the financing schedule. Change early, pay off early, switch plans or leave the account, and the remaining balance or lost credits can matter. The mechanism is right there in carrier terms. T-Mobile's 2025 annual filing described equipment installment plans generally over 24 months, and carrier offer terms can make remaining device balances due or stop bill credits if account or device financing conditions change early. One carrier does not represent every policy, but the setup is common enough to understand. The phone may be new, but the bill is the leash. What to do instead? Upgrade for failure, not novelty. Before replacing the phone, check battery replacement, storage cleanup, repair cost, and the true remaining device balance. If your old phone still works, the cheapest new feature may be waiting 6 more months. A phone that does the job debt-free is not outdated. It is done charging you. 9. Overdraft and non-sufficient fund fees. What people buy is not really a product. They buy a timing mistake, a bill that hit before a deposit, a subscription that renewed after the account got low, a debit card purchase that looked fine yesterday, or an automatic payment that arrived on the wrong morning. Why it feels reasonable? People do not usually plan to overdraft. Cash flow is uneven. Paychecks, rent, utilities, card payments, and renewals do not always line up neatly. A household can be careful and still get clipped by timing where the money leaks. The fee punishes the lowest balance moment. One small charge can trigger a fee bigger than the purchase. A few fees in a rough month can erase the money that was supposed to stabilize the next one. This is not a rare edge case. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau reported that reporting banks collected $5.8 billion in overdraft and non-sufficient fund fees in 2023, down from pre-pandemic levels, but still material. The Bureau also found that 26.5% of consumers lived in a household charged an overdraft or non-sufficient fund fee in the prior year. Banks differ, but the exposure is real. What to do instead? Set the account to decline debit overdrafts where possible. Keep autopay on bills that cannot surprise you, and put optional renewals on a card or account you audit. Add a low balance alert high enough to act before the account hits zero. The rule is not never use autopay. The rule is automate obligations, audit options, and never let a forgotten $10 renewal decide whether your bank charges a fee. 10. Storage units for low-value clutter. What people buy is space. A place for furniture after a move, boxes after downsizing, seasonal equipment, business inventory, family items, hobby gear, or the possessions that did not fit the new apartment. Why it feels reasonable? Storage can be completely legitimate. Moving, divorce, caregiving, military service, renovation, business inventory, and temporary housing can all make a storage unit cheaper than chaos. The waste starts when temporary storage becomes permanent rent for things the household would not buy again. Where the money leaks. The monthly price feels smaller than the sorting decision. Paying another month is easier than opening the unit, facing every box, selling what still has value, donating what does not, and admitting that some items are being preserved only because the decision is emotionally heavy. The recurring math is the point. The Self-Storage Association's 2025 demand study reported 12.6% household penetration. Sector research placed national average unit cost around $129 per month and average tenant stay around 19 months. Costs vary by market and unit type, but a temporary decision can become a long bill fast. What to do instead? Put an exit date on the unit. Before renewing, ask what inside would be worth paying $129 this month to keep. If the answer is almost nothing, schedule a clean-out. Keep storage for transition, inventory, or high-value seasonal use. Do not use it as a museum for purchases that already stopped serving your life. 11. Check out add-ons, extended warranties, and tiny protection plans. What people buy is peace of mind at the register. Protection for headphones, coverage for a small appliance, shipping insurance, a donation prompt, an accessory bundle, a premium return option, or a store membership that appears right when the customer is trying to finish. Why it feels reasonable? Nobody wants to be foolish. If the item breaks, the plan might help. If the store says the extra protection is cheap, declining can feel irresponsible. The add-on is small compared with the main purchase, so it slips through where the money leaks. The decision happens when your attention is weakest. You already chose the item. The register is moving. The plan is framed as safety, but you may already have return rights, a manufacturer warranty, credit card protections, or enough savings to self-insure small failures. This is where the source label has to stay practical. Consumer protection research around subscriptions, cancellation friction, and fee presentation shows why small checkout decisions deserve visibility. The specific add-on rules vary, so one universal number would be fake precision. What to do instead? Use the replacement threshold. If you could replace the item without financial strain, skip the plan. If the product is expensive, failure-prone, hard to repair, or essential for work, compare the plan against existing warranty terms before buying. Never decide at the register. Put the warranty decision in the same category as the purchase itself. If it needs thought, it does not get decided while a line is waiting behind you. 12. Premium versions of things you barely use. What people buy is the better blender before they make smoothies, the expensive luggage before they travel often, the advanced tool before the hobby is real, the premium app before the workflow exists, the fancy organizer before the habit exists, and the upgraded version of a life they have not actually repeated. Why it feels reasonable. Premium feels responsible when the cheap thing might fail. It also feels like commitment. Buying the nicer version can make a future identity feel closer. The organized person, the home chef, the traveler, the runner, the creator, the person who finally has the right setup. Where the money leaks, the premium version does not create the behavior. It just makes the unused object more expensive. Low-use categories do not need durability first. They need proof of use first. The evidence pattern from the whole video applies here. Debt, fees, subscriptions, delivery, financing, and unused purchases all compete for the same paycheck. There is no single agency number for blenders. That proves the point. The household pattern proves it well enough. Recurring, financed, fee-stacked, or unused purchases keep draining the same budget. What to do instead? Rent, borrow, buy used, buy basic, or wait until the behavior has a track record. Use the cheap version until it fails because you used it enough. Then upgrade the bottleneck. If the basic version sits untouched, the premium version would have been a more beautiful mistake. The rule is sharp. Buy for the life you actually repeat, not the one the cart is trying to sell you. So the list is not really about 12 things. It is about one test. Before you keep paying, ask, is this recurring, financed, fee-stacked, or unused? Recurring means it bills you when your attention is somewhere else. It needs a renewal date and a real yes. Financed means the purchase has been made smaller on purpose. It needs total cost math, not just a payment that fits. Fee-stacked means the price you saw first was not the price you paid. It needs checkout friction before you click. Unused means the object, plan, membership, storage unit, or premium version is not doing enough work to earn space in your life. That is the filter. Not guilt, not minimalism as a personality, not a command to cancel everything and live on rice. Just a clearer way to look at the normal charges that keep surviving because they are too ordinary to question. The monthly receipt will never look dramatic one line at a time. A delivery fee here, a subscription there, a phone installment, a minimum payment, a storage charge, a protection plan, a premium thing that mostly sits. Individually, each one can sound reasonable. Together, they become the difference between the same paycheck feeling tight and the same paycheck finally having room. Keep what earns its renewal. Keep what saves real time, prevents a real problem, supports work, protects health, or gives your household actual breathing room. Cut what only survives because it is small, automatic, financed, hidden behind fees, or attached to a version of life you do not live. That is how you stop wasting money in 2026 without turning your life into a punishment. You do not need a perfect budget to start. Open one card statement. Circle what repeats. Mark what was financed. Highlight the fees. Put a dot beside what you no longer use. Then cancel, downgrade, pause, repair, sell, or replace the first obvious leak. One clean leak is enough for today. The point is not to become a different person by next month. The point is to make the next receipt a little more honest than the last one.